This is the December 22nd meeting of the Scituate Zoning Board of Appeals. And quickly to get us started.
Yes.
Here?
Yes, but it's remote and the public can't.
I took
There
care
we
of
go.
that.
All right.
That's fine.
They looks like they have some. On that note, let me read a quick bit about remote participation. In response to Governor Baker's declaration of a public health emergency and the related emergency executive order dated March 12th, 2020, Town of Scituate public meetings shall meet remotely until further notice. This meeting will be live recorded by Scituate Community Television, can be viewed live, I think, tomorrow on cable television channel 9, and participation for the public hearing will obviously be available via Zoom. Since the only folks who can hear me are already on the Zoom call, I'm going to forego the login information. And with that, I'm going to call this December meeting to order. Our first application, which is continued from November 19th, 2020, is that of Brian and Melanie Legge, care of Walter B. Sullivan, who are requesting a variance to allow for the construction of a 30 by 15 foot swimming pool and a pool house on the south side of the lot closest to Parker Avenue at 9 Moreland Road, which I don't think is on there, but that's all right. This application has requested a continuance due to the availability of the applicant. And with that, do we have a motion? If you guys, I think my fellow board members have the ability to unmute yourselves. Don't forget to unmute yourself.
I move for a continuance.
Anyone seconding?
Second.
There we go. All those in favor, and if we could just go one at a time and call out our names. I'm Anthony Bucari, and I am in favor.
I'm George Xixis. I'm in favor.
Susan Harrison, I'm in favor.
Tom Cavanaugh in favor.
There you go. All right. The application is continued. Janine, Bob, if at any point in time you need us to stop or mention something again, please don't be shy. With that, we are going to move along to our second application. Are the White Houses available? And Seth, are we able to unmute them at this stage of the game?
Yes, we're here.
There you go.
Oh, fantastic. We can hear you.
Anthony, can you hear me now? Bob
Yes, I
Vogel?
can, Bob.
Sorry, I'm sorry to break in. We have late breaking news. Ed Tibbetts just walked into our office
Okay.
and so is going to be participating via his phone
Glorious.
and wants to just make it known that he is now present for the meeting.
Welcome, Ed.
He is in the meeting now. We see him in there, so.
All right, Ed is here. All right, and we have the White House is here, and Attorney Orenberger, you are not representing the White Houses on this application?
Sounds like it hurt.
You could just shake your head yes or no, because you're unmuted. You are. Seth, are we able to unmute Bill Orenberger as well?
He should be good to go. Bill, you there?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All
Okay.
right, with that, we're going to get moving on the second application, that of Richard and Valerie Whitehouse, trustees of the 13 Blackthorn Circle Trust, I imagine, requesting a special permit finding in accordance with MGL Chapter 40A, Section 6 and/or Section 810.2 of the Scituate zoning bylaw to allow the raising and reconstruction of a pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling at 109 River Street in Hummerock.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Bill Orenberger. I'm here on behalf of the applicants with Paul Marabito of Ross Engineering. I'm going to turn this over to Paul in a minute just for an explanation, but we've already appeared before the Conservation Commission last night, and they closed their hearing, and at the next meeting, they'll be setting an order of conditions for to raise and reconstruct this property. We submitted from the assessor's office. It's a pre-existing non-conforming structure, and we're seeking a finding under section 810.2 and 48.6 of the general law. So right now, I'll turn this over to Paul so we can explain the reconstruction of a new single-family dwelling. Paul?
Okay, unmute Paul.
I am trying to, he's just not. There we go.
There's Paul.
Paul, there you go.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. This is an existing lot that's comprised of 4,535 square feet. The applicant is proposing to raise the existing single-family dwelling and reconstruct a new dwelling on a pile foundation that would be compliant with the FEMA construction standards. All of the setbacks in the proposed condition will conform to the zoning bylaw, with the exception of the right side yard setback. It's presently 6.2 feet, and we're going to increase that to 6.4 feet. There's a septic system on the left side of the yard, which is resulting in a side yard setback of 13.6 feet, which is quite a bit more than the required 8 feet. Again, that's because of the septic system. That's what's controlling that side of the yard. There's an increase in the gross floor area of 285 square feet. That also includes a unfinished portion of an attic on the top floor.
I'm sorry, Paul, just to correct you, I think it's 285%, right? We have an increase of over 2,000 square feet.
We're increasing it from the gross floor area right now is, according to the assessors, is 751 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be increased to 2,882 square feet of living space. Some of that area includes an attic area that's on the top floor that is not going to be become habitable space at the time, but we've included that, as we have done on other projects of a similar nature before the board. In the event that they want to finish it off in the future, they'd be able to do that, assuming this is approved with that increase. So as Bill mentioned, the Conservation Commission heard this last night, and we expect them to approve it with an order of conditions at their meeting on January the 6th. There's no changes in the grade of the lot. It is a wood pile driven foundation to conform to the FEMA construction requirements because it's in a velocity zone. It's also on a state map barrier beach. So I think with that, I'll end and answer any questions you may have.
All right. I do not believe I have any questions. Tom, do you have anything for Paul or Bill?
I don't have anything at this time.
Ed? You were, Ed, you just had, there you go.
I don't see anything they can alter. Its setbacks are all consistent. They're using the average front yard setback. No issues.
George, anything?
Nope.
Susan?
I don't have anything at this time. Thank you.
All right. Bob, anything stand out to you?
No, I echo Ed. I think setbacks are all conforming to what needs to be done.
All right. With that, Paul and Bill, unless you have anything else, I'm going to open it up to the public, and if there's any abutters that have any questions or comments.
Certainly.
So what we're going to do here, and Seth, you tell me if I'm running astray, is we would ask that anyone that has any questions or comments on this application to please raise their hands. You raise your hand through the more function, and then there is an option to raise your hand. And once you do, I'm able to call on you and help unmute you.
Yes, if you cannot find that raise your hand button, you're going to click the participants in the bottom of your Zoom screen, and a white section will pop up on the side that shows everybody. At the bottom of that, you'll see the option that says raise hand. That's where you're going to do it. if you want to raise your hand and speak. And the host, the chair, will ask you to unmute yourself.
So at this point in time, I do not see anyone raising their hand. We're just gonna give them one more moment. All right. With that, we are going to close the public comment portion. And given that, I would ask my fellow board members if we have a motion on this application.
I make a motion on the application of Richard and Valerie Whitehouse, trustees of the 13 Blackhorn Circle Trust, on their request for a special permit finding in accordance with Mass General Law, Section 48, Section 6, and 810.2 of the Scituate zoning bylaw, for their request to raise and reconstruct a pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling at 109 River Street, Hummerock, Massachusetts, as shown on the plan prepared by Ross Engineering, dated November 2nd, 2020, that the proposed raise and reconstruct does not create any new nonconformities, and to the extent it intensifies any existing nonconformities, such intensification is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood.
Would anyone like to second that?
And I second the motion.
That was George. The motion has been seconded. We'll do a quick roll call vote. I am Anthony Bucheri, and I'm in favor of granting the application. Tom?
I'm Tom Cavanaugh, and I'm in favor of granting the application.
George?
George Xixis in favor of granting the application.
Susan?
Susan Harrison, I am in favor of granting the application.
Ed? Ed, you do need to unmute.
No,
Yeah,
you
there
had
you
to
are.
you had to unmute me. I'm in favor of Ed Tibbetts.
Okay. Ed, did Ed say he was in favor of it? I think he
Ed
did.
Tibbetts
Yes,
in
he
favor.
did. There we go. The ayes have it. Bill,
I'll do it.
Paul.
I'll do a draft decision to send over to your admin.
That's why I always liked you.
I wanted to
Thank
high
you.
hold you.
All right. Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Welcome. Thank you.
All right.
See you shortly.
That we are going to move on to our third application. Is Mr. Terrell available? I do say that he's here.
And this is Bill Arnberger. I'm here representing him.
Fantastic.
And if you want me to proceed,
Yeah, Seth, just before Bill gets going, if you could also unmute Robert Terrell.
Absolutely. He's good to go.
Thank you very much.
Anthony, do you want me to read it?
Yeah, why not? Thank you.
The third application is Robert Terrell, administrator of the 129. I'm guessing administrator of the estate of Patsy Joe Terrell of 129 West Summit Avenue, Haddonfield, New Jersey. They request a special permit finding pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 6, and/or Section 610.2B of the Scituate zoning bylaw to allow for the creation of two single-family lots on Man Hill Road, Assessors Map 27, Block 7, Parcel 9A.
Bill, why don't you go ahead? Thank you.
sure. Before I turn it over to Paul, just a little bit of background here. The background is the zoning, the ZBA already issued permits for two lots having less than 100 feet of frontage over 2 years ago, which have expired. And so what is happening here, there's a reconfiguration of these lots, still asking for lot 1 and lot 3 having less than 100 feet of frontage. Paul will bring you in. There's already perks done on these. And the long and short of it is we had to apply for a new permit anyhow. I'll walk through the 950.3 criteria, but it's all uplanded. Paul, why don't you give an explanation of the land use here?
Okay, thank you. The plan before you, lot 4 and 6 are the subject of this application. Lot 4 has just over 50 feet of frontage and less than 100. It maintains a 50-foot wide lot width from the street up to the area of the house. It contains 40,224 square feet of upland. The second lot, which is lot 6, has 96.4 feet of frontage. It also contains 40,068 square feet of upland. The remaining lot you see on the plan, lot 5, is not subject of this application. That is a conforming lot at 23,986 square feet. As Bill mentioned, we have conducted the perk test on these 3 lots, and the septic systems that have been approved are still in effect, and they all fall within the lot lines of the lots shown on the plan. So I think with that, I'll end and answer any questions the members may have.
All right. Well, with that, let me first get into Janine, the letter from the planning board, that is already in the file for this application, correct?
That was delivered to our office last week, I believe.
Okay. So I'm not going to read the entire letter here. It's available in the file for those who want to review it. Did my fellow board members have a chance to review that?
Yes.
So as Attorney Orenberger mentioned, the letter from the planning board does express the prior separation of these lots, and there was a pending planning board application, which is, Bill, is that ongoing still?
Yeah, we're gonna end up dismissing it. What the root of the issue here is, Paul's determined there's a better land use for the property. This obviates the need of having a planning board common driveway special permit. And so that is one of the reasons which we're pursuing this. And the second being is the process there on stormwater management has kind of devolved into a very, very complex, expensive endeavor. And Paul has come up with a way that we can do separate stormwater management, which will be on each individual lot when each prospective builder or homeowner decides where they want to locate their home. So what will happen is with the hopeful issuance of the permits we're seeking today, then we will withdraw the common driveway special permit that is before the planning board presently.
Yeah. And so, Bill, you would agree with me when I say that the planning board doesn't like the new plan?
I don't know. It's potato, you know?
Well, yeah, I think I understand that you like the new plan. I can assure you the planning board does not. That is the gist of their letter. And mainly they feel, and they express the opinion to this board, that the pork chop or matchstick at the rear of lot 5 is an attempt to end around, it is, this is 610.2B2.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's obviously what it is. I think the question that's before us is, how much does that bother us? And I think it bothers me a little because, like this approach, don't like this approach. The planning board, to the extent they're bothered by the fact that a lot of work went into their application that is now not going to go forward. But at the end of the day, we have a piece of land with insufficient frontage for even 2 lots by virtue of the code.
No,
Which
there's
is-
there's 250 feet of frontage.
Oh, okay, so insufficient frontage for 3 lots, and we're going to create those 3 lots with no common driveway. And the reason you feel that you're able to do that is this matchstick in the back. And
Well, there's a few things I'd say about it if you want me to address it.
certainly,
Well, number one, we fully comply with the bylaw. And so what intentions and reading things into, we have a legislative process here. If someone doesn't like this, innumerable times people will express things they wish the laws were different when they are, but they're not. And so
well,
we
but
should seek
that argument's going to work in reverse when I read you section 4 of B, right? That's going to allow this board to impose such conditions as we feel necessary. So it's really B giveth and taketh away there.
Well, obviously that's a discretionary, that's a discretionary, but the point is that the fundamentals of this is the board already issued, this exact same permit for the same use, the same density, over 2 years ago.
So just so I am not as familiar with that application, was that to create 2 lots out of this
No.
piece of property or 3?
3, and I have the decision, and the decision was issued. It's a little over, and Ed can probably both you were on that decision, as was Ed at the time, along with Frank Lynch, Sarah Treesice, and John Howe, and it was in the decision was filed in March of 2017, and in that decision, it's virtually, one lot had 51.58 feet. The other one had 98.42, which is virtually identical to the situation which we seek now.
And there was no common driveway part of that application?
No. Well,
I think-
there was no, but the zoning board acts, well, I don't mean to be pedantic here, but the zoning board issued the permit for the 2 under 100 feet lots. Then, from a bylaw perspective, if the lots are abutting lots, then that are approved simultaneously. But and I'm being frank with you. There's several ways to skin this cat. In other words, we could have come in, or we can come in and get 1 lot approved, and at the next meeting get the next lot approved, and then it's irrelevant whether they're abutting. So this is really, in my mind, it's a non-issue. It's a timing issue is all it is, and we're trying to be as transparent as possible.
No, I understand that. Well, with that, I would love to, Ed, what
Hello.
are your thoughts on this? And I'm going to Ed next, mainly because he was also present at that prior application.
Well, asking me to remember anything beyond last month is
Yeah.
probably a challenge, but
I didn't remember it, so.
but if I look at this plan, we're looking at 3 house lots, 2 of which are as half-acre lots would be no issue whatsoever. The lot 6 and lot 5, but that would leave less than 50 foot for lot 4. Less meaning 3.5 feet. No, one foot. Because if you take the 51 feet, the 51.58 that's in lot 4, you take 1.58 added to the 96.44 in lot 6, that's 98 feet. So it's 2 feet they're 2 feet short of being able to do this without anything unusual. You'd end up with two 100-foot frontage lots of half-acre size and a remaining acre and a half of land, which could be divided if they had that 2 feet of frontage. It's tiny. I don't know whether it reaches the form of de minimis, but basically they are doing a creative way to get the sufficient lot area for lot 6 and lot 4 while maintaining sufficient lot area for conforming lot in lot 5. I don't actually see what the problem is. There could be 3, but for 2 feet, this could be done easily.
That's a good point.
And it's been done before. I mean, we've already approved it for 3 dwellings on this frontage in a different configuration. But configuration isn't a big issue. I don't know where the configuration issue comes here. There may be someone in the public, or I'm not familiar, I have not seen the planning board letter, but there may be someone in the public who can say why that pork chopping the back of lot 6 is a big issue. But it's exactly the kind of thing that has been done in the past. Lot 6 is, for all intent and purposes, a double-sized lot, yet but for 3.5 feet.
Right. All right, Tom?
Kind of echo what, in some respects, what Ed said. It's not, sometimes we've seen these 50-foot frontage lots where they're literally 51 feet, and then they span in the back. Like Ed said, it's a bigger frontage, and I know with the planning board, it indicated they were worried about curb cuts. This would reduce a curb cut. And like I said, if they were closer, if they were literally 2 50-foot frontage lots, that would be a little bit more concerning to me. It is still a little bit concerning. The intent of it is when they are two combined lots or 2 lots that share a lot line, they would rather some sort of a shared driveway, obviously, to protect the safety. But like I said, that lot 6 is essentially a near miss.
We're only creating one. In my mind, we're creating one 50-foot frontage lot, except on paper. It's the frontage. No one will notice in a traffic pattern way whether lot 6 is a 100-foot frontage or a 50-foot frontage. And the single undersized lot is not abutting another undersized lot, which is the intent of the 2 adjoining 50-foot frontage lots, so that you don't end up with 2 curb cuts in 100 feet. We've got 1 curb cut in 96.4 feet, 1 curb cut in 100, and what is it, 100? I mean, 92 and 9, that other foot's in there somewhere, I think. It's almost like they could
Almost
get that extra foot.
Yeah,
I think they're less than a foot out here.
Yep. All right.
Yeah, the only thing, if I could add to that, is just to amplify what Ed just said, is this common driveway is when there's 2 50-foot lots next to each other. That's not the situation. And just by virtue of something hundreds of feet off the street touches, we can do that. But literally, it's all a timing matter. This is if they're issued simultaneously. If we approve one 50-foot lot now, and then came back next month for the other one, the result is identical.
And the common driveway doesn't kick in because they want to prove it at the same time.
Correct.
George, anything to add?
No. I mean, I do accept the issue of having a 2-foot piece, if you will, between lot 4 and 5 as being a potential issue for a butter, for the two owners. And it's, it's silly, but I understand the reasoning behind it.
Susan, anything?
Just so you know, for owners, the way customarily that's handled is you give some type of exclusive landscaping easement so that it's not where someone is trying to suck in their gut and walk sideways through the 2 feet.
That's what I was going to say, just grant a use easement from
Correct.
the other 2 lots, or one
That's
of the
right.
other.
Yep.
Exactly.
Susan, anything else?
No, I don't have anything, but I appreciate the explanation. Thank you.
Bob, do you have anything to add or ask on this one?
Yeah, I want to echo the thought that this is a relatively benign request, that you can easily satisfy the last sentence of E2 and get 3 driveways that are more than 100 feet apart. So it seems to me that one of the main reasons behind the common driveway bylaw in the first place was to prevent that. And this prevents that. So I think you've achieved your goal. I'd also say, kind of parenthetically, that common driveways can create a potential for friction between neighbors that don't exist when everybody has their own.
Yes. All right. With that, we're going to open it up to the public for comment. We got quite a few people here, so I have to imagine we're going to have some comments. If you would like to make a comment, you need to raise your hand within the Zoom meeting. You can do that through the More function. You click on raise your hand, and we will ask you to unmute yourself. So I am going to, I have a 774 number ending 819, who I am trying to call on. Can you please try to unmute yourself? And then if you could please give your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Kurt Avalone, and I'm in a butter, to the back of the property. My concerns as I've watched this, lived in Scituate almost 25 years, has been that the space behind the houses here, we're on Christopher Lane, failed perk many times, and then passed perk during a severe drought. And that in the course of this process, there've been a lot of creative, manipulative, exercises, to get the properties, as much, building space as possible, but still, living here and knowing, that there's a very good chance that my property is going to turn into a marsh is of concern. And I think that's why it's been such a battle between, pretty much all of the abutters and the owners of the property, attempting to, push this through. That is of concern. And we were getting closer to a solution, I think, but this, just hacks me off to no end. This last manipulation, without recognition that the perk process was manipulated as well. So for the record, that's really what I wanted to share.
All right. Thank you.
Do you want me to respond to each person? Or?
Certainly, if you have a response for that.
Yeah, and I'd invite Paul, as I take exception to characterization, saying that anything here wasn't done in the proper context of what the state requires and what the town requires. And Paul can speak to the perk test, and it was obviously observed by a designee of the town. As far as, but the other concern of the of the abutter, which is a very good concern about stormwater retention. That's still a process that has to be gone through after this. So that is not something that is obviated by any action of this board whatsoever. Paul, I don't know if you have anything to say further.
Yeah, I'd just like to make the comment that the shape of Lot 4 on this plan is virtually identical to the original Lot 4. The only difference is out by the barn area, but everything else on that lot is the same lot shape and configuration as the one approved 2 years ago. Also, we have a septic system that's been approved by the Board of Health for Lot 4. And the stormwater that we're proposing would be on the opposite side of the lot from Christopher Lane. So to answer the abutter's concern, again, the septic system's been approved in accordance with the Title V and the Scituate Board of Health rules and regulations. And the lot can only have a single family home, even though it's got twice the land area. If it had 100 feet of frontage, someone could build a large two-family home on that lot. But because the applicant's asking for a special permit, the lot has to be twice the size as a single-family lot, and he can only have a single-family dwelling on it. There's no two-family dwelling allowed on that lot, even though it's twice the size. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. With that, I'm going to call on another member of the public here, Marla Minier. If you are available, if you could please unmute yourself. And Marla, if you could just give us your name and address for the record, please.
This is Marla Minier, 29 Christopher Lane, and my husband Richard is here with me. When the proponent came to you the last time, however long ago that was, you approved a common driveway, which tossed the plan to the planning board. The planning board has spent a lot of time because this piece of property is extremely wet. I don't know how it passed a perk test, but we'll assume that it passed it and it's legal, but it's extremely wet. So the planning board was insisting that the developer create, I think, very expensive drainage options for the developer so that the houses could be built. They're also planning, if you can see on the plan, to put in between 5 and 9 feet of fill in order to construct these homes, which is preposterous. That bring in 9 feet of fill, that's a full story, more than a full story. It seems to me that this matchstick, as you call it, is a way to manipulate your board into allowing this so that the developers do not have to follow the conditions that the planning board was setting for this extremely wet parcel. So I understand that you're talking about curb cuts, and I understand that that's your concern on a curve. I don't know if you've been down that road, but it's not safe. It's on a curve with 3 driveways, but you're talking about curb cuts. The rest of us, all of the abutters, are concerned about water and about how much fill is needed to be brought in to make these lots developable. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I will answer any questions that you have of me.
Thank you. I am.
If I could speak to that, obviously, stormwater is a very important issue to everyone. And again, just in case I wasn't clear before, this does not obviate any requirement to comply with the stormwater bylaw in the town, so that'll be fully complied with. And again, I disagree with the characterization that somehow it's all we're doing is complying with what the bylaw is. And as the building commissioner pointed out, the purpose of the common drive, and I think it was a misstatement of fact at the outset of this. At the outset of this, it was indicated that this board, in their prior decision, approved a common driveway, which they didn't. All they did was approve the lots on this. The common driveway, that is under the purview under our bylaw of the planning board. So that wasn't the case. And so any issues, albeit that the abutters or others have with stormwater, again, that'll be a continuing discussion, and those permits have to be obtained to the satisfaction of the town and the town's consulting engineers prior to the issuance of any building permits.
Anthony, I would just add something to that. This site is not a wet site. It's all upland area. The test pits were performed. Groundwater elevations were determined by soil modeling. The septic systems are mounted only because we have to mount them to meet the new Title V rules and regulations. And bottom line is any fill that's brought on any lot today is only brought in because the regulations require the property owner to do so. But there's certainly not 9 feet of fill on this property anywhere. If that was the case, I don't think anyone would be looking to do anything with a lot because of the cost of that amount of fill. So I don't have any other further comments beyond that.
Thank you. All right, with that, Mr. D'Onofrio, if you are available to unmute yourself. And again, please just your name and your address for the record.
Good evening, Mark D'Onofrio, 25 Man Hill Road. I had seen the previous version of this plan. I have to admit and confess I haven't seen the most recent version. And if I understand it correctly, you're looking to go to 3 driveways versus a common 2, basically a common driveway plus a second. My concern, candidly, is where those curb cuts are. And again, I haven't had the opportunity to get to Town Hall, take a look at the revised plan, but my property is immediately across the street. We have a very difficult driveway, curb cut, if you will, as far as kind of being able to see around the corner, cars coming from the St. Francis Church up to the intersection of Ann Vinyl and Tilden and Captain Pierce. Just curious where the curb cuts are actually supposed to be, and I'm more concerned, quite frankly, if one is directly across from mine, because it already is difficult to get out of our driveway without having a problem, and I'd be concerned if another one was, directly across the street from the existing curb cut on our property.
Paul, do you want to speak to that?
Sure. Yeah, we don't have the driveways. Well, we show a proposed driveway on the septic system plan. The one in the middle lot, I think, is going to move. But if you look at our site plan, the edge of the pavement relative to our property line of the street is quite far removed from the layout line of Man Hill Road. The edge of the pavement on the same side of the street as Mark's house is virtually on the layout line. That may be one of the reasons he has a hard time coming out of the driveway, but we're also on the opposite side of the street, and we're on a curve that when you pull out of the driveway, that's a sight distance in either direction. It is actually very good because of the shape of the curve in the direction that we're coming out of these 3 house lots on. So wherever these driveways are, it's not going to pose a sight distance problem for anyone coming out of these 3 lots. And I don't know where your driveway is exactly, Mark, but, so it's hard to answer your question as to where our driveway is in relationship to yours, but, again, the site distance for these three driveways will be very good because of the curves shape that we are coming out onto.
Well, I wouldn't disagree that the sight lines from the other side of the street are fine. Again, the sight lines on our side are pretty bad. When I'm backing out of our driveway, it's particularly harrowing for cars coming up. I can't remember what direction. I guess it would be south. But my concern again is whether that curb cut for the lot across the street, the newly created lot, is directly across the street from our curb cut, which I think would cause a greater concern. Again, should two cars be leaving or trying to pull in at the same time, it would cause some additional concern as far as traffic coming up the street and or just backing into one another. It's already pretty tough to get in and out of it. I'm not, again, please don't, I don't necessarily think I have a problem with the whole thing. I just like to be able to have an opportunity to see exactly where those curb cuts might be, and if they can be offset to some degree, it would be greatly appreciated, just so that there's no, direct conflict between cars entering and exiting driveways.
I think we can accommodate you on that. But I'd have to locate your driveway. I'm not sure where it is on this plan. I'm assuming it's across from lot 5 or the middle lot, somewhere in that area there.
Yeah, again, I'm sorry, but I haven't seen the revised plan, so I'm not exactly sure. And I'm not sure if that's changed or not, but anyway, again, I appreciate the accommodation. If we could at least have a conversation about that some point between now and the time where, construction may begin, should that be the case.
I'd be happy to sit down with you and show you that.
Thank you. Yeah, probably not appropriate, but hey, Robert, long time no see.
All right. We have a 774 number ending in 819. That might have been our first commenter. If you were, it looks like they've withdrawn. We have no one else raising their hands right now. So with that,
Yes, I do. Let's see, how do I do this?
we can hear you, Ms.
Good.
Meir.
So,
I'm sorry, just your name and address one more time for the
yes,
record for
again,
me.
this is
Thank
Marla
you.
Medeer, 29 Christopher Lane. I would hope that the board, before making a decision about this proposal, would actually travel to Man Hill Road and look and see exactly what you're acting upon, so that instead of just making a decision based on a plan on a piece of paper, I would appreciate you making a site visit.
Certainly, to that point, what I can tell you is it is quite common for members of the board in reviewing an application to go and drive by a site or visit a site. And to the times we don't, it is most likely because we are generally familiar with the property. All of the board members have lived in town for quite some time. I probably have the least tenure, and I've been here for coming on a decade. So we all do make sure that we have familiarity with these sites that we are ruling on, especially when the location of the site has a bearing on the application. With that, do we have a motion? I'll make a motion. I find my paper so I can call it out. I'll make a motion on the application of Robert Terrell of 129 Southern Avenue in Haddonfield, New Jersey, requesting a special permit pursuant to Chapter 48, Section 6 and Section 610.2B of the Scituate zoning bylaw to create two 50-foot frontage lots, really lots of less than 100 feet of frontage, being Lot 4 and Lot 6, shown on a plan prepared by Ross Engineering and dated November 12th, 2020, for the property along Manhill Road, and that the board find that the creation of those two lots does comply with Section 610.2B of the bylaw. And I think it's probably useful that the board also find that Section 610.2B2 does not apply to this particular application. The motion has been seconded. With that, we'll do a quick roll call. I'm Anthony Bucari, and I am an aye. I vote to support the application.
Ed Tibbetts, I seconded and I support the application.
George, Tom, Susan?
I'm Tom Kavanaugh, and I vote in favor of the application.
Susan Harrison, I vote in favor of the application.
And George Sixis in favor of the application.
The ayes have it. The application is approved.
Thank you very much on behalf of Mr. Terrell. And I'll submit again a draft decision for the board's consideration.
Thank you very much, Bill.
Thank you, Attorney Orenberger.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good holidays and a Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Yes.
Happy holidays.
Thank you. With that, the board has a little remaining business. I believe we have some meeting minutes to approve.
Didn't we not approve them in the last meeting?
I thought that we did, but I saw the
I'll make a
notice go out.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes through March 2020 as was submitted earlier today.
I second the motion.
Ed
Although
Tibbetts, aye.
Ed Tibbetts, aye. There we go. George,
George Sixis, aye.
Susan,
I don't think I can vote because I wasn't at those meetings.
there you go. Well, yeah, I mean, your support would be appreciated.
I support
anyway.
you.
There we go. Tom?
Yes, I vote.
Anthony Bucari, yes as well. Thank you. The minutes are so approved.
Thank you.
With that, I make a motion to close the meeting and wish everyone a happy holidays.
I second that motion.
I'd like to welcome Susan. I was not here at the last meeting, unavoidably detained with school, but welcome to the board. Great
Thank
to be
you. Thank you.
enrolled again.
And Susan brings holiday gifts. She pushed us onto Zoom,
I did.
which
This was
Bob
actually-
likes better than the conference bridge.
That is
Much more
correct.
successful than our last couple of meetings. Thank you.
Yeah, the bridge is tough.